Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, we're going to be working on story number 9 and 10 in my October daily album. For story number 9, I wanted to document a bunch of the spooky movies that we are either planning to watch or have already watched so far this month. When I document my movies, and this is a story I've told in a couple of my albums, I usually like to find a creative way to display the photos of those movies and include the story, of which ones we're hoping to watch this year. Last year, I did a viewfinder cut file, which I always loved the look of that in the albums, especially in the 4x4 size, which is what I was using last year. This year, though, I wanted to change it up and try something different. So I'm going to use a film strip instead. This is not a new idea. I know that there have been other people who have done something like this in the past. I can't quite remember who at this point in time, but I know that this is something that I believe other people have done. For me, what I did is I went online, I Google searched for a film strip PNG free download file and found one that was perfect for this story. It has 5 little areas to put photos. So I pulled that into Silhouette, turned it into a cut file, and I did 2 different cuts. One that had the outline of the little square sections where the photos would go, and one where I removed that section from the cut file so that the back of it was just plain. That way I could layer the 2 cut files on top of each other and then add my photos into the blank space, but there was something to stick them down onto. The reason it worked out that way for me is because the little sections in between the photos were so thin that there was no way I was going to be able to back it with a photo. So because normally I would add adhesive to the back side of my cut file, stick that down on top of my photo, and then fussy cut around so that the cut file is backed. This one, that was not going to work. So instead we have the 2 sections that I glued back to back and then added the little photos in those sections. I will add a link to the exact file that I downloaded in order to create the cut file in case this is something that you would like to repeat in one of your albums as well. If you have Silhouette or Cricut, I believe Cricut does the same thing. It's not super hard to take something like that and turn it into a cut file. Now, for placing this on the page, I actually wanted these to act as an element that you could pull out of a pocket, and then you could leaf through them and see all of the different photos of all of the different movies. So to do that, I'm going to create a pocket that will go inside of my Life Crafted album. What I did is I cut a piece of pattern paper, which really is just this off-white kind of creamy type of colored paper. I cut that down to the outside of the page protector size, 5 inches by 8 1/4, hole punched the side of it, and then I'm going to add a piece of transparency to the bottom, which will act as my actual pocket. Then you're going to see me go through these embellishments a couple of times, trying to figure out which number 9 I want to use to designate this as story number 9. One way that I thought about doing it was with this cute little ghost embellishment, which is from I actually was gifted it, but I believe it's from the Halloween collection from maybe Echo Park a couple years ago. He's really cute though, the little ghosty. So I was really debating it, putting him in there. And then I have this awesome chipboard 9 that's a black and white pattern that I was going to put on top of the pocket. So the 9 would just stay on top, and then the little ghost guy would just be a bonus little tip-in type of thing. And then behind that, I have 2 tags from an older Ellie Studio add-on set that was all Halloween themed. And that's where my journaling is. It's on the back side of those tags. So that was the first way that I was thinking about doing the pocket. And then I also have this transparency tag that has the number 9 punched out. That was from an older Week in the Life kit that came with the numbers 0 through 9, I believe. And so I had only used numbers 1 through 7 to designate my 7 days of the week, which left me with number 8, 9, and the 0. So I thought that this could be a really great opportunity to use the number 9, and then that would give me 3 tags tag shapes inside of that pocket as well. So for now, I'm setting it all to the side and we'll figure this out later. The transparency, I'm actually going to stitch to the bottom so that it can be a full functional pocket without any adhesive showing through. So that's something we'll do here a little bit later. For my title, I wanted to add the words spooky movies. I pulled out a couple different stamp sets. I had a puffy sticker set, and I just debated all different kinds of fonts of what I wanted to do. And then I eventually landed on my brushed alpha stamp from Close to My Heart. This is one of my favorite alpha stamps. The alphas themselves, the stamps themselves, are about 2 inches tall, I believe, which was, just a smidge too tall because it will be covered up a little bit by the film strips there. But I decided that didn't really bother me that much. So I stamped the word spooky in the tall brushed alpha stamp. And then I grabbed one of the typewriter type of fonts that was on one of the stamp sets from Ali Edwards, which was a collaboration with Laura Wanzik. There's tons of little tiny alphas in lots of different fonts. So I took the typewriter font, used that to stamp out the word movies on a couple of different pattern papers, and ended up liking it this way the best. So it's like an orange type of paper with a darker orange ink stamped on top the word movies. The ink I used is called, I want to call it pumpkin spice, but I don't think that's right. Something along those lines from scrapbook.com. I'll make sure to link that in the description as well. So that one I stamped out on the little section there. I turned it into a flag by just cutting it out and cutting the little triangles into the sides and adhered that down. And then the last thing I did for now on that spread was to add a piece of trim tape to the side from Tim Holtz. It's the kind that is black with the pinked edging, and I just love the way that looks. So now I'm going to put that aside and we're going to work on story number 10 and get all of the pieces together that I'm going to stitch. That way we can just do all of the sewing all at once and, have it work that way. So story 10 is my answer to the question, would you rather be a vampire, a witch, or a ghost? So this was one of the prompts on my 31 Halloween prompts list. And if you know anything about me, I love everything witchy. So of course, if I was given those 3 options, I would choose to be a witch. So that is what my journaling is about for this story. I decided to use this vellum piece from Cocoa Daisy, which has this really spooky nighttime look to it with a moon and these black bats. I then took another cut file that was a free download that says Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I cut that out in on my silhouette using white cardstock. I kept the negative pieces so I could add that as a template on top of the vellum piece, and then I glued the individual sections down. So now that vellum has a title on top that says Something Wicked This Way Comes. From there, I then printed off some journaling that I did here on printable canvas paper. So what's really neat about using canvas paper is that you can actually fold it, bend it, roll it, just like you could fabric. It's a little bit stiffer than fabric, but it still has that really cool effect to it. Because of that, I thought, why not tell this story in a way that makes it look like a spell, like a rolled up witch's spell. So that's what we're going to do. I am cutting a piece of lace here from the Fancy Pants lace trims. There's like a little package of those, and I'm going to sew it down on the back side. So what I did is I printed my journaling on like a 5 by 7¼ inch section of my paper, but I'm actually going to cut 2 of them and stitch them back to back so that both sides have that canvas look. Otherwise, there's like a coated white backing on the paper itself. So I didn't want that to show. I wanted it to all look like that fabric. So I stitched down the lace on the back side and then put the two sections together and stitched those around the perimeter. So you can see how that looks here. And then I'm also, while I have my sewing machine out, we're also going to go ahead and take care of the pocket on the Spooky Movies layout. And then once we've got everything stitched and ready to go, I'll put my sewing machine back, and then we're going to finish up the Spooky Movies layout before going back to story number 10. And really all that I need to do for the Spooky Movies one is trim everything off so that it's all, on there as a pocket, and then figure out which of these numbers I want to use. So we'll stick those 3 little film strips down inside the pocket. I love the way that those turned out. They're so, so cool. I'm also going to take some orange and black twine. These twine rolls I got a couple years back in the Target dollar section. I always like to check that area prior to Halloween and prior to Christmas because they generally have some really great tools and products that can be used in these albums. I've got the 2 tags with my journaling on it. And then here's where I'm going to make the decision on which number I want to use. I'm ultimately going to choose the plastic tag because I like the way that it pairs with the other 3 tags. It gives it like 3 tags and 3 film strips, and it just, everything feels really balanced and cohesive here. So I'll put a little bit more twine in the number 9 tag and put that in there. It's also kind of nice to have that used up since I've been carrying it around for, 3 years now since we did that week in the life. So, it all works out in the end. I'm going to put this one in the album here so you can see how that's going to look. Also, the Something Wicked This Way Comes vellum piece. And now we're going to go back to finishing up this layout number 10 or story number 10. So for this one, I've got the scroll there is all the way done. I'm now trying to figure out how I want to close it, which I'm going to use the same, actually no, I'm not going to use the same twine. I cut a piece of the orange and black twine, but then I decided to go with black and white instead. It just felt a little bit more witchy to me, I suppose. And then I have a number 10 number token that was from Tim Holtz. So that one I'm going to add that to the twine and then string that around the scroll. So that's how we'll designate that this is story number 10. In the meantime, I want to embellish the bottom area of the pocket just a little bit with some things that feel a little witchy. So I've got a 2, I think it's 2, it could be 2.5 inch circle there that says Witch's Brew. That's from a really old digital collection. I'm trying to remember which one it came from. It could have been from the Little Lamb paper company, or it could have been from a Salon Designs collection. I don't remember which one, but I've had it for a couple of years where I printed it out, punched it out, and then ended up not using it. So I've got that one. I've got a little phrase embellishment that says broom hair don't care, and that seemed really fitting. And then I have one more that is an embellishment or one of the die cuts from Coco Daisy. I don't remember what it says, but it's also something that's kind of witchy. It could say something like Something Wicked This Way Comes, but I don't think so. I think it's something different. That's what I'm going to end up putting down at the bottom of the pocket there. And I will mention that the pocket did come from the Allie Edwards December Daily collection last year, but at the end of the year, I took this one out and added it into my Halloween stuff because it has that constellation pattern on it, which just felt really October-ish. So I love that it gives me a different texture in this album, and I love that it becomes an easy home for my story. With that, we are going to make sure everything is tied off with a nice pretty little bow, stick it in my album, and call this one done. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how these 2 layouts came together. If you did, I would love a thumbs up down below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can see all my future crafty videos. All right, friends, I'll be back in a couple more days with the next few layouts in this album. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.